Good morning students. In this session you are going to learn about recombinant DNA technology, the steps involved in this process as well as competent host concept. Let us see. Since two videos in the biotechnology principles and process lesson, you are observing this kind of pattern. You have to think every early session of the class I am introducing this concept. It says it has such importance. This is simply resembling the process of cloning or genetic inward knowledge says, what is this? This is desired gene. So many of you may have a doubt like, what is a desired gene? You may have fluctuations about the last two sessions somewhere, but by this session definitely every student will clear their confusions. Listen carefully. What is a desired gene? You want to develop a character. What is that character? Nothing but a trait. Suppose, for our better understanding, I am telling you insulin. Diabetic patients are used to inject the insulin injection. Insulin cannot be taken orally. Why? Insulin is a protein. If we take insulin drops, then it will be digested in our stomach, and as it is, insulin forms cannot go into blood, so that excess amount of glucose molecules cannot be picked up, placed in the liver as glycogen. That is why insulin can be injected only. So generally insulin is produced in our body, there is no issue. Diabetic patients use it to inject the injections before or after meal. What is that injection? That injection is having insulin protein. That protein is prepared from genetic engineering. So genetically prepared insulin we are injecting. We means diabetic patients are injecting. So here the desired gene, this gene is extracted to make up more amount of the same replica. For that we are taking cells called pancreatic cells. Everyone knows that. That's why I am taking this very common example. Pancreatic cells that are alpha, beta and gamma cells are there. Beta cells are responsible for insulin, whereas alpha cells are responsible for glucagon. As beta cells are the source of insulin gene, we have to take the beta cell and in its genome. Entire genome is not responsible for insulin gene. Here a part of beta cell nucleus or nucleic acid. Here a part of beta cell nucleic acid is responsible to produce insulin or this protein. Means this portion only undergoes the transcription and translation provide insulin protein. But in a person insulin production is absent. From other human cell we have to extract. Which cell we have to take? Beta cell. So that this beta cell called as source. Source for desired gene. Here the desired gene is insulin. This is only one example. Don't think in the biotechnology insulin only will be used. It is one kind of application. Okay. Now the source of the desired gene, today what we are discussing about insulin is beta cell. So we have to separate the source. So that the first step involved in the recombinant DNA technology is collection of source. This is the very first step. Last two classes you have seen the cloning process. The first step is we are inserting a desired gene. But where we have to collect the desired gene is so important. Desired genes are coming from many sources. According to the importance and the function, we use it to select the sources. In the case of insulin extraction, the desired gene is present in the beta cells. If you take a pancreatic alpha cell, the insulin desired gene will not be available. So particular source we have to identify by scientific study. So some scientific studies helps to understand exact sources. From the sources we have to collect first. So in this case what we have to collect? Pancreatic beta cells we have to collect. That is the first step. In different, if the desired gene is not insulin, then source will be changed. So desired genes and their respective sources are different. Desired genes are not always collected from pancreas. In this case, the source is pancreas. Reason? Desired gene is insulin producing gene. That's why. Now the second step involved in the entire process is, once you collect the source, later you have to separate the genome. Why? Inside the cell, nucleus is there. Inside the nucleus, DNA is there. What is this cell? This cell is beta cell. If you collect the beta cells, that is a source collection. Once you collect the source, you have to separate the DNA of the beta cell. Then that would be called as isolation of DNA. Isolation of DNA. How we have to separate the DNA from the collected source cell? In the very first class itself, I told you that lysing enzymes. This is an animal cell, so we have to use protease. If it is a plant cell, we have to use cellulase or hemicellulase. If it is an algae cell, we have to use hemicellulase. If it is a fungal cell, we have to use chitinase. If it is a bacterial cell, the source is bacteria, we have to break the bacteria cell wall. For that, we have to use lysozyme. So, by using lysozymes, we have to isolate the DNA from the cell. Cell boundary will be ruptured, then DNA comes out. That is the second step. So that from the cell, DNA has been placed out for our respective steps in the experiment. What is the third step, guys? Once you isolate the DNA, we have to go for fragmentation. Fragmentation means what? Here, fragmentation of DNA is the step 3. I already told you, entire the genome of the beta cell is not responsible to produce the desired gene. Only some part. To collect that part, you have to make it breaks. So, if this is the DNA molecule, by using enzymes called nucleases, as it is a DNA, you have to use DNA nucleases, DNase, then it will be fragmented. It will become so many pieces like this. This is called fragmentation. During fragmentation, what is happening? DNA, entire the chromatin net are fragmented into pieces of DNA. What is the enzyme we are using here? Answer is nuclease. In case of DNA, that is DNase. In case of RNA, that is RNase. They will act on the DNA or RNA respective genome and make it fragments. That is the third step. What is the first step? We have to collect the source. Second step, we have to separate the DNA from the collected source cell by lysing enzymes. Once you collected the DNA, you have to make the DNA into many fragments so that wanted fragment can be observed. If it is a wanted fragment, here many sequences are there. You want a particular sequence where that can undergo transcription and translation gives a protein called insulin. Then particular means what? We have to use restriction enzymes. So that is what the step 4. In step 4, endonucleases will be nothing but restriction enzymes will be used to separate the wanted fragment. If you take entire this fragment, there is no use. In that, from here to here, only the responsible DNA sequences, though can transcribe and give mRNA, then mRNA undergo translation, give a protein called insulin. Then, why we have to use entire the length of the fragment? There is no use. That is why we have to use restriction endonucleases. They will cut wanted fragments or wanted DNA sequences only. So that is step 4. Once wanted fragment has come, then that is called desired gene. This is the story behind the desired gene. I hope you understand. Once you got the desired gene, then what we have to do? We have to insert this desired gene with vector. About the vector, last class we had discussed. Vectors are so many are there. Prokaryotic vectors are there. Eukaryotic vectors are there. Vectors are carrying the desired gene. For the vector, it is foreign gene. That's why it is also called alien gene. So, interaction or integration of desired gene with the vector called recombinant. What is recombinant? What is recombinant? It is an integrated genome. So by the combination of vector and alien gene, nothing but there is a desired gene. So let us see the step 5 here. Insertion of desired gene into the vector. Let us spend couple of minutes to understand this point, as we have already understand before all these steps for the desired gene. So vector, generally a vector is collecting from prokaryotic, maybe bacteria. Suppose E. coli, it will give a plasmid. Agarobacterium tumefaciens, they will give Ti plasmids. So many vectors are there. Bacteriophages also vector. Yeast is also vector. So some artificial vectors also there. Vector we are taking from, if a bacteria in case of prokaryote, then again we have to use lysozymes there. Then only bacteria will be broken up and inside the plasmid will come out. So not only here to extract the desired gene you are using nucleases, to collect the plasmid from the bacteria also you are using lysing enzymes. So by using lysozyme here, if the vector is a plant cell, again we have to use hemicellulase or cellulase. So according to the nature of vector also lysozymes will be preferred. Once lysing enzymes are used, bacteria cell wall will be released or broken up, then the plasmid comes out. Without giving a gap or insertion place, how you will insert the desired gene into the vector? So again what you need here? Restriction endonucleases again you require. So that by using restriction endonuclease enzymes, you will cut a certain sequences of DNA in the plasmid or any other vector. Don't think vector means only plasmid. According to the experiments we use, but most of the times in genetic engineering we use plasmids. That's why instead of vectors I use it to call plasmids. By using restriction endonucleases, we cut a certain sequences and later we insert this part. For insertion what is required here, tell me? Ligase. So that's why this process is also called ligation. What is this? Ligation. Ligation is a step in which insertion of desired gene into vector takes place. Fine. Once ligation happened, then the result is called recombinant. Recombinant have two different organism sequence. One is vector DNA sequences that are carrying alien DNA sequences. Alien DNA sequences are also called desired gene sequences. Sometimes they use it to call foreign DNA sequences. Next, once a recombinant has been ready, then that recombinant has to insert into the host. So that is the next step. Sixth one is insertion of recombinant into the host. So before you insert the desired gene into the vector, then the result is a recombinant. Process is called ligation. After ligation, you are inserting entire the sequences of both vector sequences and the desired gene sequences together is called recombinant. That recombinant you are inserting into the host. Then this host is called transformant. Transformant. What is transformant? Transformant is the host involved in biotechnology process or genetic engineering methods in which that receives vector. Once vector successfully transferred into the host, that host may be prokaryotic or eukaryotic, then that host is called transformant. That process is called transformation. Till how many steps are being completed? The first one is collection of sources. Collection of sources means this one. This is the step 1. After collecting of source, what happened? Isolation of DNA. From the collected one, we have separated the DNA. Once DNA is separated, what happened? Fragmentation taken place. By using endonucleases, we have been separated, or nucleases or DNases, we have been separated the long chromatin net into pieces. So this is step 3 called fragmentation. What is step 4? Endonucleases. After fragmentation, if you want a certain sequences of DNA, you go for endonucleases restriction enzymes actions. You only want a fragment of DNA, then no need to use the restriction endonucleases. Why? Because the process in where you are using restriction endonucleases is very expensive. So that according to the need, we prefer. So the fourth step is endonucleases. This is the step 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. What is the fifth step, guys? Insertion of desired gene into the vector. This is what happening here. This is step 5. In step 5, whatever the vector or plasmid are received alien DNA by the process of ligation result recombinant. Then sixth process, the recombinant is transferred into the host and is called transformation. The step 5. This is a step 6. So we have seen 6 steps in the recombinant DNA technology process. Let us see further processes. The next step is culturing the host cells in the medium. I just told you about host. After some time I will discuss. Once the host become transformant, we use it to screen. The screening also happens here. Screening process. What is screening process? By using selectable markers, we come to know whether the recombinant went inside or the host become transformant or not. So screening is also one kind of step. Once the transformants are formed, these transformants has to grow in number in a particular medium. So suppose it is a E. coli. If you give a medium, in that agarose solution will be there. Agarose means mucopolysaccharide. In mucopolysaccharide medium, E. coli number will be increased rapidly in short span. So that as this transformant have the vector, as that vector have our desirable gene. In case of this experiment, that gene is insulin. If we insert one insulin into the one plasmid, that one plasmid into the one bacteria, after some time, one bacteria becomes many bacteria. Many bacteria have many plasmids. Every plasmid have insulin gene. So number of genes will be increased. So for that we have to culture. Culture means what? Let bacteria grow in a particular nutritive medium is called culturing. So this is what step 7. In 7th step, what is happening? Transformants are allowed to grow in their respective growing medium, or also called growing medium, simply called culturing medium. After culture, then we have to extract. We have to extract the desired gene from medium. Understand? We are allowed the bacteria. Now we should not use the term bacteria, transformant. We are allowed the transformants into the medium for the purpose of growth. Sometime we have to leave that experiment so that bacteria number will increase. Why we have to increase the number of bacteria? Inside the bacteria, our DNA, desired gene, is also multiplying. If we are not introducing the vector, directly if you use the gene into the host, that gene cannot multiply. Why? The only sequences present in the desired gene may not have ORI. Without origin of replication initiation, how it will replicate itself? So that to develop the number of desired gene, we need a vector. Suitable vectors are many are there in the biotechnology world, we can choose. Once the number increased, we have to extract the desired gene. Means we have, by using only one desired gene or one insulin producing gene, we can collect many genes. All these genes undergo the transcription, translation, give a protein called insulin protein. So by using a small amount of gene, we can collect a huge amount of protein. Such protein commercially goes, and in the small scale or large scale, that process in the next video sessions we will discuss. That's called downstreaming process. Once culturing methods are happened, how we have to collect, how we have to separate, how we have to use for the marketing, everything is the conclusion of this lesson. Not in this class, I am not ready to explain. Clear? So in this process you have learned the 7 important steps This is the eighth one. I'm sorry. The eighth step where extraction of a desired GNA from medium is happening. Let me tell you all the 7. First, we have to collect the source. What is the source? Source may be plant cell, source may be animal cell, source may be bacteria or algae or virus also. So guys, collection depends upon the source. Later, collected sources are giving DNA by using lysing enzymes. Where does lysing enzymes are used? After collection of source. After using lysing enzyme, you can get the DNA, that is not fragments, they are entire the length of the genome. Then later we want fragments, so that here we have to use nucleases. After that, if you want a certain sequence, you use restriction endonucleases. After restriction endonucleases, you will get whatever you want a particular sequence, that is called desired gene. The desired gene may be insulin producing gene, the desired gene may be growth hormone, the desired gene may be for antibiotic resistance gene, whatever it is. So after that, we are inserting that particular thing into the vector. Result, recombinant. Recombinant is the result of ligation between vector and desired gene. So all these are questions indirectly. Once recombinant formed, under the process called transformation, we are inserting that recombinant into host. What is host? What is the role of host in the biotechnology, and what does host should have, what doesn't? Why? We had discussed in this class about the desired gene. In the last class, we had discussed about the vectors and structure of plasmids also. These plasmids are introduced into host. Means what is the host? See guys, you are drinking water, very purified water. There is no doubt. From AquaGuard, the water is coming, and you are thinking that I am drinking very pure water. Yes, of course, I agree. But if the glass you are using is not clean, then what kind of water you are drinking? Even though water is a very purified, coming from the AquaGuard or water filter, and improper or unhygiene glass you are using to fill the water, then the water you are drinking is not hygiene. So that the role of glass in the drinking of water, just like that, the role of host in the biotechnology. You took the desired gene, but you select a wrong host, then there is no result. Not only we have to observe the water which is purified or not, we also make the glass clean always, so that you are drinking a pure water, it seems. I hope you understand the concept. That is the importance of host. Let us see the competent host concept. Come, let's discuss about competent host. Just before I explain the importance or the role of host in biotechnology process or cloning process. Generally, host is not always prokaryotes. Don't think that in the experiments I am taking bacteria, so bacteria will be the host always. No, wrong. Host may be prokaryote or eukaryote. If the host is prokaryote, there is no doubt that is bacteria. Mostly we are using E. coli. In case of eukaryotic host, that may be plant or algae or fungi or animal. Animal cells also sometimes act as a host. Host means what? The one who is receiving desired gene along with the vector or not, whatever. In case of a prokaryotic host, they have cell wall. There is no doubt. In case of eukaryotic hosts, plant, algae and fungi, these three are having cell wall. Cell wall less host is animal cell. Animal cell do not have cell wall. Then what does it have? Plasma membrane it has. It has plasma membrane. Why I am introducing this concept to you means, if you want to insert some desired gene to the host with vector or without vector, also possible. Yet you have seen with vector. Without a vector also desired genes can be transform. Let us see. What does cell wall help? If cell wall is present, the gene, desired gene or plasmid or any vector goes inside, the phenomenon will be very tough. So do you think that cell wall is better or not for insertion of the vectors into the host? You guess? Obviously, it will be tough job. How? This is a cell, and if the cell have cell wall, in case of bacteria or plant or algae or fungi, I am talking about the host, not source, then this is a desired gene or a plasmid, a vector who has desired gene. You want to insert into the host cell. Then here boundary 1, boundary 2. More than that, cell wall is made up of cellulose. It is a hard polysaccharide. It never allow this type of chemicals inside it. That is the reason the most accessible host is animal cell. Why? Because animal cell do not have a cell wall. Animal cell simply called protoplast. Animal cell simply called protoplast. What is protoplast? Cell minus cell wall. Here I will write protoplast means cell minus cell wall. In case of plant or algae, fungi or bacteria. Animal cell is directly protoplast. So that in case of animal cell, there is no cell wall, then this type of host directly enters into the cytoplasm of the animal cell. This process is tough, this process is easy. That is why host should not have cell wall. But you can ask a question here. Sir, bacteria are using as a hosts. Bacteria has a cell wall. Means before using the host in the experiment of biotechnology, we should remove the bacterial cell wall. Means that a host should compete in the process of biotechnology, that should remove the cell wall. Let us see what are the characteristic features of the competent host. The properties of competent host. The first property already we have seen. A host should give protoplast. In case of animal cell, that is directly we can use as a protoplast as it doesn't have cell wall. In case the host is preferably bacteria or algae or plant cell or yeast, we have to remove the cell wall and we can use. Definitely we can remove the cell wall by using lysing enzymes so that protoplast will come. So every organism can act as a host because they can provide protoplast. Number 2. Second thing, once protoplast has been given, then cell membrane permeability. What is permeability? Now there is no cell wall. Every host has plasma membrane in the stage of protoplast. Here the vector is present. Generally plasma membrane is made up of lipid bilayer, right? Lipid bilayer. Lipid bilayer nature is, what is the nature of lipid bilayer? Hydrophobic in nature. Means it is not likely to dissolve in water. Why? There are lipids. That is the reason. And what is this? This is the DNA. DNA is negatively charged molecule. Negatively charged molecule will not be allowed by lipid bilayer. Why? Lipid bilayer is hydrophobic in nature. Here the reason is due to the hydrophobic nature, the plasma membrane do not or not ready to allow the negatively charged DNA molecule inside. Then how the desired gene along with the vector will enter to host? It is a very complicated process now. For that, if we use divalent ions like calcium. This calcium, if we use the calcium to the plasma membrane, then plasma membrane permeability will be increased. Using the divalent ion, increasing the permeability of plasma membrane, so that as plasma membrane permeability increase, our desired gene or vector or plasmid, nothing but recombinant, will enter to the host. Then this host is called transformant. Then this host is called transformant. So, if the host is unable to receive the calcium ions, then that host cannot be considered as competent host. So, competent host means what? What is the contribution of host in the biotechnology process? The third one, heat shock treatment. Heat shock treatment. So, in case of a plasmid or a vector that enters to the host, then that is called transformant. Host generally have its own genome, right? If it is a plasmid, it has their ORI, it will replicate. It is not a plasmid. Without a vector, a gene was introduced. This gene do not have a ORI, so that this gene will go and incorporate it with the host genome. For that, if we use heat shock treatment, what is heat shock treatment? At the cold or ice baths, they are producing the cold environment, just like a frozen area. If you place the host, immediately you transfer to the heat environment. If you apply some, during this fluctuation, this desired gene may interact with the genome, so that as the host genome is multiplying, the desired gene is already incorporated, no? It is also already multiplying. After culturing, we can extract. So that sometimes host also capable to bear and survive in the conditions like fluctuation between heat and cold. So that from the heat environment, we are changing to cold, from cold to heat, like that. Repeatedly we are doing to insert the vectorless gene into the host genome, so that for that conditions also host should be tolerate all these kind of unfavorable environments. Then it will be called as competent host. So as I discussed, without vectors also some genes are transferred into the host. Let me discuss about vectorless gene transformation into the host. Vectorless gene transfer. Generally in biotechnology, 90% of experiments are having along with the vectors. So desired gene inserting into the vector, then it is called recombinant. That recombinant is inserting into the host. But here we are going to discuss about, we are not using vectors, so that gene transfers into the host without vector, called vectorless gene transfer methods. Interesting. The first one is, some chemical methods are there. Let us see. Here one chemical is used, that is called PEG. PEG means polyethanol glycol. It is a chemical which is used. It increases its permeability. Suppose in the medium, if we use the PEG, in that we are introducing host cells. Host cells in which stage we have to introduce? Protoplast condition. Very important this is. Along with the cell wall we cannot use. If we use, the desired genes cannot go inside. In the same medium we are also placing our desired genes. I already told you in this class how we have to collect the desired genes from the source. Okay, so in the medium chemical is present, that is called PEG, and in the same medium desired gene is also present. In the same medium we introduce the protoplast. Protoplast is nothing but host side. Okay, so host, whether the bacteria or animal cell or fungi or algae, yeast, whatever, we are introduced such a protoplast, host protoplast into the medium which contains PEG. Then along with the PEG has an affinity to carry DNA. Generally, PEP chemical can go inside the cells without any permission. That chemical has that affinity. But here the fetching point is DNA can attached to PEP. So PEP carry DNA into host cells, nothing but protoplast, cytoplasm. Clear? Means you are going to college. Suddenly your friend asked a lift in your cycle or bike. Sorry, bikes are not allowed. Cycle. In cycle, your friend is also came along with you. Means you have carried, you have given lift. But here what happened? PEP was given lift to DNA, so that DNA is entered to host cell. How you have reached along with your friend to the college, like that PEP enters inside the host along with the DNA. So here the desired DNA is not at all inserted into the vector. Is this vectorless transfer or not? Find the vector here. There is no vector. So that the chemical method where vectors are not using, only chemical, that is called polyethanol glycol, is a chemical helps to carry the DNA into respect to host cells. Another second method you can see here, that is called biolistics. Biolistics. What are biolistics? Biolistics are also called gene gun method. Gene gun method. In this method, we are using gold or tungsten. Gold or tungsten are the materials we are wrapping around the desired gene. So along with this desired gene, gold or tungsten lining will be there. Means the desired gene will be wrapped by some amount of gold or tungsten, and it should be 1 to 2 microns in the size. This type of desired gene who is covered or enveloped by gold or tungsten will be shoot into the host cell. Nothing but this is again protoplast of the host. If it is a bacteria or plant, cell wall will be removed. If cell wall is present, it will never go inside. So protoplast is ready to accept it. This is a genome. So this desired gene is inside. Desired gene is wrapped by gold or tungsten, and the size should be 1 to 2 microns. Is shooted, means triggered as a bullet into the host cells couple of times with a 1400 feet speed per second we have to use. If you may ask, sir, lesser than that speed what will happen? Means if you use lesser than 1400 feet per second, then the desired gene which is triggered out by the gene gun may not reach the nucleus. So it dropped in the cytoplasm itself. In the cytoplasm itself it is suspending. If you use the greater force than 1400 feet per second, it will come out of the cell. So scientists are preferring 1400 feet per second speed will be used for inserting of DNA which is wrapped by the gold or tungsten in the process called gene gun method. Other than these two, another two methods are there where vectors cannot be used. Let us see now. Third method, electroporation. In electroporation, the medium have applied for some voltage should be very high. Under the high voltage, the protoplasts are generally having a tendency to show some perforations. Perforations means holes. In the same medium, we are using desired genes. As this medium is introduced by high voltage, some while means some time these protoplasts will have some openings due to the high voltage. Protoplasts have some pores. With that pores, this DNA will go. When they have openings, through that openings, this DNA molecule will go inside and bind to genetic material of the host. The last one, micro injections. Micro injections are the vectorless gene transfer methods preferably used in animal host. The host should be animal cell. The host should be animal cell. Before all three we can use for prokaryotes and eukaryotes, but this is a very suitable one for animal host. How they will use, let us see. This is the desired gene. This is the animal cell. Animal cell can be supported by a vacuum tube or pump, and this is animal cell, and this is the genome. Inside the cytoplasm genome is present, and this one directly injected into a needle like structure, very minute, just like the syringe. Using injecting method directly into the tissue and cells inside the cytoplasm also we can introduce the desired gene, and later it will be incorporated with the genome of the host in further cases. This is the best example for intracytoplasmic sperm injections. In case of infertility, means the sperm count is less or sperm production is less, from the donor sperms will be collected and such a sperms also introduced into the ovum. So intracytoplasmic sperm injections. Sperms are injected into the ovum cytoplasm so that fertilization easily takes place when in case of infertile couple. So micro injections are helpful also in the field of biotechnology. This is how without vector also we can inject the desired gene into their destinations. What are the methods? 4 methods. First one is chemical method, in which PEG will be used, and second one is biolistics, that are also called gene guns. Number 3, electroporation, by using high voltages, protoplast will have some pores, through that pores DNA or desired gene will get inside. The fourth one, the last one is micro injections. Here injectable methods will be used, through that the desired DNA directly enters into the cell by giving some pressure and injections. Clear? Okay guys, in this session I completed recombinant DNA technology, all the steps involved in recombinant DNA technology, and finally what are the characteristic features contributed by the host called competent host, and without a vector also we can insert the gene into the host cells, they are called vectorless gene transfers. All these 3 are there in the NCERT textbook lines. You go through the textbook lines, and if you have any doubt, please ask me without any hesitation. Thank you. In the next class, we will discuss with another procedure.